Hi, I'm Tammy Roth from Nashville, and this is video 2 about family constellation work. And before I start, I just wanted to acknowledge my teacher, who is Camille Adair in Santa Fe, New Mexico, and also acknowledge the originator of this work, who is Bert Hellinger, who died last September at the age, and he was in his 90s. And anyway, he brought this work to us, and it's just so powerful and profound. So I just wanted to acknowledge those two people in my lineage before I go into talking a little bit more about how does this work. So this will be a series of videos because it's so comprehensive and so complex, and ultimately it's not even something you can really explain. It's one of those concepts that you really have to experience to get it. So I'll do my best to explain, but just know that this is a process that is very much very experiential. So if we think about a family system, and we think about energy. Energy is connecting everybody in the family, as well as just biologically there is a connection in a family system. And energy never dies or goes away. Energy only transforms. So if we think about a family system, everybody in your family is connected through that system. Even if you are estranged and never talk to anybody, you are still a part of that system. And so what happens in constellation work is that we are working in the morphogenic field. Also, what we call it is the knowing field. So this field of energy, it carries the history of our ancestral lineage, and it carries the history in its energy. And like I said before, energy never dies, so that energy stays in your family system. And through constellation work, what we can do is we can help heal energy when it is not flowing and working in a supportive way to your family system. The beauty of doing this work is that the ancestors are so present with us, even if they are no longer alive. The ancestors really want to be able to support us. And that's a concept that I might not have really thought that much about until I started doing this work. And what I've found is, yes, the ancestors are very excited about us evolving and moving on, and they want to support us in that. But a lot of times there's some hitches in the past, in the energy, in the knowing field in our family constellations. And so that's what this process does, is it helps get the energy flowing again, so that those of us who are living and evolving now, that we can really come into our highest form of ourselves, and then have the ancestors behind us supporting us. So some ways that the energy gets blocked to begin with, and I do want to say that family constellation work everything is based in love. It's one of the primary foundational principles of constellation work is working in the orders of love. And that is saying that every single family system has love in it. The difference is it may be blind love versus enlightened love. And blind love is what I would call in psychological terms, that would be a dysfunctional family. So what we're doing is going into these dysfunctional family systems and trying to take the blind love into an enlightened love. So then the energy and the love and everything that the ancestors want to send forward can really flow to us. So let me back up a little bit and talk about how do these kinks in the system start with. How do they get started? And that is something that I'll continue in future videos, but just very briefly, it's about, there are some basic principles in constellation work. Everything belongs in a family system. If it's happened, no matter how heinous or ridiculous or embarrassing or whatnot. If it is a part of the system, it belongs. Um, Everything belongs, and so in most families, in dysfunctional families especially, when things are not comfortable, we don't look at it, we don't acknowledge it, and we definitely don't welcome it in and allow it to belong. So in doing this work, one of the things we do is we allow the field to show us what's there, and then we acknowledge it and we allow it to belong in our system. Um, Another thing, one of the things that I really especially love about constellation work is that there are no apologies. There's there's no apologies. So our ancestors, they, rather than apologizing, they take responsibility. They take responsibility for their actions, and they also carry their emotional wounding and baggage that goes along with their dysfunctional actions. So we go into the field and we ask the ancestors, and I'll get in future videos, I'll talk about like how that works and what it looks like. But ultimately, we're having the ancestors take responsibility for what is theirs to carry, and they carry their own guilt, their own grief, their own rage, whatnot, so that these things don't get passed forward. Because what happens is if they're not taking responsibility, then that energy never goes away. It just transforms, and so it transforms into the next generation. And so the next generation is carrying what is behind them and carrying those unprocessed emotions, and then they are also carrying what is theirs to carry, as well as their ancestors. And then that gets passed to the next generation. So all of a sudden, when you get to like present day, we may be carrying multiple generations behind us unresolved issues. And the way that shows up in present day is it may be patterns keep repeating in families. It can be it can show up as mental health issues, addiction. But ultimately what we're talking about is there is tension in the knowing field, tension in that family system. And so when we go in and we start doing these healing processes, it allows the tension in the field to start to relax. And when that tension relaxes, then each of the ancestors behind us, they come into their own sovereignty. They become empowered as ancestors. And when we start feeling our ancestors behind us really empowered and taking responsibility, it strengthens us. And so that just keeps happening generation after generation. And then when it comes to present day, we can feel so much more empowered and less burdened when we have our ancestors behind us taking responsibility for what is theirs to carry. Another practice in constellation work is that we put things in right order. So a lot of times people die out of order. Like a parent should never have to bury a child, but that happens, and that throws things out of order. Or perhaps a child is very parentified and is very, they grow up taking responsibility for their parents' emotions and caretaking. Well, that can show up in the field as being out of right order. So another thing we do is we put things in right order. We acknowledge the right order of who is the parent, who is the child, and like no matter how old a parent and child are, if both are adults, there is still the parent in the relationship and the child in the relationship. So we really we really strengthen that truth. Another thing that we do is we acknowledge hard truths. So sometimes we can get identified in the realm of the dead, especially if somebody's left too soon or in a surprising way and we didn't have closure around a death. We can really get tied up in that energy in the realm of the dead so that we're not fully living here in the present among the living. And again, healing words can help relax that tension and bring the living back into the living and out of the realm of the dead. So these are just a few examples, and I know that it's probably hard to exactly understand if you haven't experienced it, but I just want to have a few foundational things. And then in future videos, I'll just do some basic meditation so you can start to feel what it's like to work in the field and experience some of these things. So if you want to learn more, please visit my website, tammyroth.com. I do Zoom calls. I can do one-on-one sessions, and we can work on these issues over a Zoom call. And then also in Nashville, I do a lot of group processes. So if you go to my website, you can sign up for my newsletter, and I just keep everything up to date there. And there are also a lot of links under the Family Constellation tab. So thank you so much for watching this. It is absolutely a topic that I'm passionate about, and I love to share it. And more videos will follow this one. Thanks.